Welcome to the Kaizorian experience. Over here, we're going to be talking about everything African. We're going to be having debates, discussions, entertainment, as well as learning about business, art, history, and everything in between. Cultural, tribalism, and everything. We're going to be out here debating with some really interesting stuff. So, like the video, share the video, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe for the best experience ever. This is the biggest channel on the Afrosphere. So come and join the team, become a Kaizorian, and join the Kaizorian Empire. I universally exist within myself, within this premise, and I exist within this bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like the blue in the sky. I'ma fly like bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma throw my bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fight like bluebird in the sky. I'ma eat like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Back again like the second coming, strumming my vocal cords like the hummingbird in the sky. Y'all can't deny this. Real rap lyrics, it's like I ain't got no rhyming through the sky limit. What is skin tone, shade of color, but a parallel form of frequency like a ringtone on your phone. Melanin expression, tied up in the universe, feeling like God. Is this really us? Is it serious? Is it really wrong to be diverse? I'm a divergent, immerse myself like an ocean beneath its waves. Be a divergent, born to be different. Indigo child, wild like canary. Born to be a bluebird in the sky, flying high like a bluebird in the sky. I'm a fly high bluebird in the sky, yeah. Bluebird in the sky. I'm a fly high bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Everybody scream bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky, yeah. Bluebird in the sky. Everybody, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bone black, sweet like a berry. Flying high like a canary. Scary with my hoodie on. Hating on my vibe on the street that you'll be feeling my frequency of the song. But I know that I ain't never ever gonna be ever the same. But I know. What's good, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about an interesting topic to me, and it's about IQ, and race will come into it. So, topic is the truth behind Africa's lack of development. May shock you. Is it an IQ difference, right? That's the question, and that's the topic. And we'll delve into it, and we'll figure out what this really means, right? All our problems, or majority of them, are they simply an indication of the difference between intellectual quotient, or are there other reasons? Well, we'll delve into this. Let's start with a Jordan Peterson video titled "The Most Terrifying IQ Statistic."
One of the most terrifying statistics I ever came across was one detailing out the rationale of the United States Armed Forces for not allowing you can't induct anyone into the armed forces in the US if they have an IQ of less than 83. Okay, so let's just take that apart for a minute.
Okay, so he starts off and says that the United States Army, or the armed forces, meaning naval forces and anything relating to it, they can't actually let someone join unless their IQ is over 83. Now, if you look at the average IQ of Africans, right, it is actually much smaller than this, right? Africans have an average IQ of around 70. So meaning, right, if you took the average African and put them in a military assault unit, they are more likely to cause problems in that assault unit than actually the benefit. Meaning, according to his reasoning, right, America doesn't see fit to even use Africans as fodder. Right? That's just according to what the implications are of what Jordan Peterson says. Right? He says that this is not one of those situations whereby you can just kind of hope that things go in the correct way. Stables 8 says, do Africans really believe they are inferior?
you bought into the jokes. I didn't buy anything. I'm analyzing the studies, right? I have to examine everything. I can't assume from any angle.
because it's a horrifying thing. So the U.S. Armed Forces has been in the forefront of intelligence research since World War I, because they were on board early with the idea that, especially during wartime, when you're ramping up quickly, that you need to sort people effectively and essentially without prejudice, so that you can build up the officer corps so you don't lose the damn war. Okay, so there's real motivation to get it right, because it's a life and death issue. So they used IQ. They did a lot of the early psychometric.
Now, one part of the IQ test, right? It actually, depending on which test you're doing, right? But generally, let's talk about Raven's matrices. These are the IQ tests that are focusing on pattern recognition, right? How well can you recognize a pattern? And I can even pull one up and we can see if we can resolve it. A really simple one, right? Just to make things understandable to what we're actually solving, right? Raven's progressive matrices. These tests were designed to be culture fair because the early tests, unfortunately, they could not be as accurate as modern tests because they had a lot of cultural artifacts in them, right? Um, they were tests, using English, for example. Not all cultures speak English in the same way, right? They were using certain cultural motifs that expected you to at least have some prior knowledge in again, the culture, right? So they were not culture fair tests. However, modern IQ tests use sometimes something called Raven's matrices. These are patterns that all humans or anything, right, even animals can recognize, and then you can see if how well they can, humans in this case can resolve these patterns, right? In this case here, look, it's a simple one. We'll go through it. Actually, it's not simple, but to me, it's very simple. What you're doing to answer Raven's matrices, right? It progresses, right? You start from the left to right, right? Left to right or right to left. You either start from up to down or down to up. It doesn't matter. Your job is to figure out the patterns, right? I can go through it, for example, right? And even there's about 3 patterns here, right? And then your job is, can you see there's an empty spot here? So out of the 6 answers at the bottom, you're supposed to choose which one fits the most. Now, I can immediately see that it's going to have to be a black, something with black. So you can already remove all these answers. So it's either going to be number 3 or number this one here, right? The 5th one. Sorry, not 6, it's 8 of them, right? The 5th one or number 3 is going to be correct. Now, if you just look at the basic orientation, you also realize that, things are going and following a certain path. Each of these shapes, as you can see, are within the same orientation. So these ones are all vertical. These ones here are all horizontal, right? The middle shape. And here they're slanted. So it's going to be number 5, for example. Another thing, of course, you can figure out is also the orientation of the shape in the middle. Here you have a square, sorry, not square. You have a triangle. Here you have this square shape. And the other one is another square shape, but it's slanted. So you already resolve about 3 different patterns. So it's going to be number 5. That is a Raven's matrices progressive test. Now, Africans don't do well in these tests because they don't have as much problem-solving abilities as other races. That has been put forward by a lot of researchers, which is why when you have, let's say, African employees or you're dealing with certain groups of people, it is difficult for you to communicate effectively with them to come to the same answers because they're not able to see the answer. And of course, some people claim this is why Africa really is not as developed as other nations, because Africa, unfortunately, is a country that doesn't have people who can resolve these kinds of tests, right? These are culture fair, meaning you don't need to know what a square is. There's no English, there's no, you don't need to know any of this. You can just kind of figure out the patterns, right? Logic, pattern recognition. So that is what an IQ test tries to determine. Just for people who are going to watch this later on, the answer is this one. I believe it's number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the 5th one is the answer. I've gone through why it's the answer, and unfortunately, Africans don't have the same statistical ability across multiple different individuals to resolve these sort of problems. Their IQ on average is 70. Meanwhile, the European IQ on average is 100. The Japanese one is around 105. Ashkenaz is around 112. So you can clearly see why a lot of people that won Nobel Prizes in science happen to be Ashkenaz. And you can see why there are 0 Black African Nobel Prize winners in a scientific field. Africans only win in two fields, right? Literature, I think we have two of them. One of them is Caribbean, another one is Nigerian. And then the other one that we have someone who wins is Nobel Peace Prize. The Peace Prize. Literally, you don't have to do anything. You can get a Peace Prize, right? Because we have a lot of war and conflict. So in intellectual fields, it's only one. Sorry, two. Okay, there's like a couple of them in literature, and then also there is one Caribbean in economics. That's the only one, and zero in science, what I call hard science, the natural sciences. We don't have a single person for a reason, because we haven't really added anything significant into the field of natural science. You're speaking about yourself, race science isn't real. Well, I'm not talking about race science, I'm talking about science in general. And I'm letting you know that there are statistical differences between different races, right? Based on what we're looking at right now over here. So let's go ahead and see what Jordan Peterson says about this.
Work on IQ. Okay, so that's the first thing. They're motivated to find an accurate predictor, so they settle on IQ. The second thing was the United States Armed Forces is also really motivated to get people into the armed forces, peacetime or wartime. Wartime, well, for obvious reasons. Peacetime, because, well, first of all, you got to keep the armed forces going. And second, you can use the armed forces during peacetime as a way of taking people out of the underclass and moving them up into the working class or the middle class, right? You can use it as a training mechanism. And so and left and right can agree on that. It's a reasonable way of promoting social mobility. So again, the armed forces, even in peacetime, is very motivated to get as many people in as they possibly can.
Now, he's trying to make a point by talking about how the armies, the armed forces are actually setting up this standard. He's trying to make the argument that look, IQ is a real thing, because if the armed forces really want as many people as possible to join, especially during war times, but yet they have a limit of IQ of 83, it means that IQ is not just a joke. IQ is not just a suggestion. It means that it's really real. Because think about it, they really need people to join, but they can't let just anyone join, because if they let someone with an IQ less than 83, the kinds of mistakes they're going to make will actually cost them more problems than the benefit of them being there.
Difficult as well. It's not that easy to recruit people, so you don't want to throw people out if you don't have to. So what's the upshot of all that? Well, after 100 years, essentially, of careful statistical analysis, the armed forces concluded that if you had an IQ of 83 or less, there wasn't anything you could possibly be trained to do in the military at any level of the organization that wasn't positively counterproductive. Okay, you think, so what?
You understood what he just basically said. There is nothing that they could train you and that you would not basically cause them more problem than, you're not even going to be net zero, right? You will literally be causing them more problems by being there. Perhaps you're taking resources that would have been better placed somewhere else. Perhaps you're going to make mistakes, right? You're not going to follow rules. You're not going to be able to even keep the rules in your mind, right? So all these things, right? These are the issues when your IQ is less than 83, right? Your RAM, right? Your random access memory is going to be lower. You won't be able to remember things in short term that is going to actually help you make benefit.
83, okay. Yeah, 1 in 10.
That's crazy. That's 1 in 10 Americans have this kind of IQ less than 80. Now, this in Africa is actually a high average, because if we go through the average the average countries in Africa and their IQ, you're going to see that this number drops significantly, right? IQ by country, right? And you'll see which countries are at the bottom. It's mostly South Asian countries, Middle Eastern countries, and Africa. And when you look at the economics of these countries, you can see that there's a huge and stark similarities between low IQ nations, right? And also the income of these nations, and sometimes even the stability of these nations. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to start looking at, let's start from the highest IQ, and then we'll find ourselves into the lower IQ region. And shout out, guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. Support us anyhow you want. History reset says the average Somali can't join US military 100%. The US algorithm won't like this. Yeah, YouTube won't like this algorithm, but all I'm doing is sharing my opinion about this topic, and of course how IQ relates to one of the topics we were talking about on these platforms, which is, why do African nations struggle and suffer to industrialize while other nations have done so? And for me, the answer might leave you shocked, but I don't think it's too shocking. I think IQ is a significant reason, and we'll go into it. So this is a website called worlddata.info. You know, the apps, I've actually done this IQ test too, so I've probably contributed positively on the African side. So we'll start with the highest IQ countries, right? Hong Kong averages 106. That is far higher than average European IQ. And when you look at the income, you can see it's quite a relatively well-to-do country, or rather region. $35,000 per person per year. Japan, $40,000. Singapore, as you see, this is East Asia countries, and they seem to score the highest. Taiwan, China is a bit lower, they're 104, but still extremely high. And you can see, this correlating, right? They're all high income countries with a high IQ. Then you start finding the European countries like Germany here, again, high income, relatively high IQ as well. Now, if you go to the bottom, that's where African nations are, right? You can see the lowest is 51. Now, I don't believe numbers as low as 50 because I don't think you can have a functional nation with an IQ as low as 50. But then again, people claim that these are not functional nations, right? These are S-holes over here. But anyways, Nepal over there, 51, right? This is South Asia. Sierra Leone, Africa, right? 52. Guatemala, right? This is, I believe, is Central America and those regions, South America, etc. 55, right? Gambia, 55. Equatorial Guinea, 56. These are, again, mostly Black and South Asian countries which have the lowest IQ. Then when you look at these countries, right, with the exception of Equatorial Guinea, which has a relatively high average income, that's because it's a. For some reason, I'm dying here, right? That's because Equatorial Guinea has a lot of oil and a small population, right? So if you divide the, export money by the amount of people that live there, you get this high number. But the average Equatorial Guinean does not make $7,000 per year. Guinea, you can see this is real numbers now, $600 per person per year, right? All these are the lowest. Ghana, as you can see there, right? They've just gone bankrupt recently, right? So when you compare Cameroon, there like 67 IQ. These are IQs basically whereby you would be, in European terms, you would be basically, handicapped, right? You would be actually able to claim disability allowance because you're intellectually disabled. Now, again, Yemen, Cameroon, these are all shithole countries, right? Honduras, Ethiopia, over there, right? Nigeria, Zambia, Somalia, 69, right? All these are the poor countries, right? Kenya's a bit higher, but still pretty low at 74. So clearly, there's a huge correlation between IQ and, of course, how rich country is, right? Kenya's 74. Over there, still pretty low, right? But higher than all those countries, right?
That's 1 in 10 people. And what that really means, that, as far as I can tell, is if you imagine that the military is approximately as complex as the broader society, which I think is a reasonable proposition, then there's no place in our cognitively complex society for 1 in 10 people. So what are we going to do about that? The answer is no one knows. You say, well, shovel money down the hierarchy. It's like, the problem isn't lack of money. I mean, sometimes that's the problem, but the problem is rarely absolute poverty. It's rarely that. It is sometimes, but rarely. It's not that easy to move money down the hierarchy. So first of all, it's not that easy to manage money. So it's a vicious problem, man. And so
it's hard to train people to become creative, adaptive problem solvers.
It's impossible. You can't.
You hear that? Impossible, right? Jordan Peterson says, right, and he's not mincing his words, right? Because the other guy was like, oh, it's difficult to train people to be critical thinkers. Why do you think we still suffer in Africa to find people that can actually think critically, right? We don't have critical thinkers in Africa. We have random people here and there. We don't have a culture that respects critical thinking. Therefore, we don't produce them. The African will hear something from one place. The first place that they hear it, that's the truth for them, right? They're not even going to question things and start to look through a process of elimination. No, whoever told them the story first is the truth for them until somehow it's disproven across some luck that happens somewhere down the line. They're not critical at all. And Jordan Peterson says, right, that's his opinion, you can't teach it.
You can't do it. You can't do it. You can
Well, it might take
interfere with
6
their cognitive
years,
ability,
but
you can't do that. It's trained
it's not
theory
going
as
to
well
work
as
in 6
people
months,
think.
but it could work in 6 years.
No, it doesn't work. Sorry, it doesn't work. Like the data on that's
Keizo.
Yeah, so as you can see, right, he says nope.
Keizo, I don't know. The
What's
last
good?
show you did, I'm good. The last show you did with me and ICT, you know what? We come into
Mhm.
conclusion regarding what you are just saying today regarding this topic. Our
Okay.
conclusion was that we as a black people, the major problem we have is that we don't know how to solve problems.
Mhm.
That's why when you go to Asia schools, they do more practical, like they put things on ground like toys. They allow kids to solve some of these things, to put them together, to turn into things. That's why you see when you go to school, you see Lego and the rest. Because all about problem solving. We don't in Africa, we don't do that. And that is the problem. That's why you come to Africa, you see all sorts of problems unsolved. But this thing, if we actually sit down and put our head together and reason, critical reason, we will be able to solve some of these problems. So Africa problem is just really is problem solving. We don't know how to solve problem.
But how do we get to that place where we're able to actually know, how to solve
I,
problems? Because yeah, go
okay,
ahead.
I think the our curriculum need to be changed in school
Mhm.
because see, I don't know if you have seen videos kids in Asia. You see that you hardly see teacher on the board writing things. They just put things on ground like different kinds of things. They allow kids to solve it, to find a way around these things, to put it together. They put their brains to work. You understand me? So that's why they are able to build bridge, build tunnels, build some of these things. Because if you look, what we need in this society is builder, those who can build things or construct things. These are the people we need. We don't need the salary earners who stay in the office. So if you look at in Africa, we are just producing people who do 5 to 5 to a 9 to 5 every day office work. No, no, no. Those are not the kind of things we need. We need
Yeah. Mhm.
people with brain who can solve problem. It's crazy.
But
I
here's a,
think. Go ahead.
yeah, but here's the thing. You know what? You're right. Now we actually have a lot of intelligent Africans. What we're missing is a system that prioritizes them.
Okay, let me say this. Sometimes we always blame government. Yes, I agree. But if we have these so-called intellectuals, at least they should assist government. They should come up with superior ideas that they know if you can implement this, that it will be 100% guaranteed that this will work out and solve problem. It will be done. Just like most of the intellectual, the problem they have is that most of them are seeking comfort. They don't actually want to do the work because the work, if you look at it, the work is not rewarding. It requires sacrifice, but no one is willing to do it. It's difficult. It's frustrating. So, Jude, you can chip in.
Oh yes. What's going on, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So I think I agree with Jordan Peterson. Whatever he's saying, Africa IQ is low.
Uh,
Yeah, because this is crazy. I've been thinking about this for a while, but guys, we don't know how to actually solve problems. We have no idea how. We just do things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we don't have the ability to know, okay, if I do this, this, and this, then this will actually solve this problem. We don't have that ability. For us, we just throw things.
The Kaiser, you taking my lines, man. It's good as you get into my lines, bro. Of course, I mean, yeah. I mean, the only time you guys were doing stuff and when the white man was controlling you guys, whipping you guys with a stick, you know, that was when you guys actually did a lot of things. And then another good time you guys were doing stuff was when they bring in all these Indians and all these and they started having babies with all these mulattoes and yeah, having all these mulatto babies and all of that. And these are the ones that are actually doing stuff in these countries. You go to South Africa, you see the light skin white. I don't. You go to North African countries, it's the Arabs. You go to probably Kenya, it's like the Indians and all these other guys. And countries that were not, did not have that did not have that, that mix and all of that fought for like the West Africans. Their countries are in the rumble, man. That's why till today, if you ask most Africans, they are calling for Europeans to come back and recolonize them. I mean, it's a fact. We have not built anything that can stand the test of time. You go. I was talking to. I was on a chat. I mean, on the Telegram chat group. Talking about how you go to Rome, you see what the Romans did to build Rome. You go to Mecca, the Arabs built Mecca. There's no place in Africa where you could actually say, yeah, we did this thing, or the blacks did this. I mean, come on. Look, man, I mean, all this stuff we say is always cycle. We come in and say things but I mean, it's just like nothing is changing in Africa, bro. It's not. I'm done with Africa, man. I'm not, I want to live close to the white man and have a longer life expectancy. Living in Africa, your life expectancy dropped from 80 to 50. Most male Africans do not actually, most of them do not actually reach the age of 60 before they pass out or die. So, and that comes in with the climate pollution, the lifestyle, it's just a lot of things that happens. So, if care is not taken, if Africa is not able to solve the problem today, when the population is still at the minimum, then 10 years to come or 50 years to come, there's going to be chaotic because the population of Nigeria will be increasing to probably 500, you know, million to probably, 1 billion if care is not taken. Chinese solve their problems when they realize that, oh, they foresee a lot of things. If the population is increasing at this rate, what can we do to reduce it? They came up with one child policy, build an economic system that can actually sustain the population that they had, and build an economic system that could also sustain in years to come. So when they build that economic system, they realize that, oh, they still needed population to kick in. They removed that one child policy. But Africa, we don't have the foresight. We don't have people that could actually, see beyond what they have right now. Oh, population is good for us, but there's insecurity everywhere. There's killings everywhere. Why can't you solve the problem right now? Then maybe in the 10 years, increase your population. But right now, this is not the best time for population growth in Africa, because there's a lot of sufferings in the land. There's insecurity of food agriculture in Kenya. It's just rampant. So, yes, man, the problems is just enormous. And I don't see, like you said, we're not a problem solver, man. We are not. And that's why we are being
Jude,
despised in European countries and America. You travel to America, you
Jude,
say you are African, they look you down.
Jude,
Europe is the same thing. Yeah, go ahead, yes.
Jude, let me tell you why I am not in support of these guys that took over in Burkina Faso, Niger, and whatever. I promise you, 10 years from now or 5 years from now, we'll be back on this discussion. We'll be hearing the word that the deed is signed now, that it was it's like they put gun in their head to sign some of these deals. See, when you hear the word European France, see, all these military of base they are finally closing right now. The West, they don't put gun in these people. Say they invited the West into their country to set up military base there. The America or France did not force these people. But when you come online, people make it seem as if they were forced to do this thing. It is fake news. No one forced anybody. These people gladly take peanuts from the United States and France and allow these people to set up this base in their country. Why didn't this Nigeria? Why didn't they come to Nigeria to set up base? Because even Nigeria leader we may say they are dumb, but they know that is bad news. That's not good for
But
national security.
it's not just certain base. I mean, people just think just having a military base is what is causing problem. I mean, they could also set up companies as well. Yeah, I mean, but all these things are a way of extraction. It's not just having a base that kindly just take everything out. No, there's that they set out companies that those companies do not pay taxes. I was talking to St. James.
I
He
agree.
said these Europeans have companies that don't pay taxes in that country. It happens in Nigeria. It happens. So it's not just base. It's just all African countries is experiencing the same issues. They might have
See,
base. You have companies that do not align with Nigerian policies, but Nigerian cannot do anything. In Cameroon, is the same thing. So
okay,
you know,
today. Okay, let me tell you something. There was a company who came to Nigeria, I think about 20 years ago. What they did was that they helped Nigeria to build the infrastructure for gas. But you know what? The agreement was that there will be tax free for 10 years. You understand me? Tax free for 10 years. And it was done. But if you are another president, you decide to just sign, give them lifetime tax freedom. That's on you. You understand me? Sometimes you need to negotiate your deal that will at least benefit, let's say, 60 to 50% of your people, instead of you taking a
yeah, I
loss
mean, you
and
have that deal that was signed. Then I mean, does all the deals that the Nigerian people have signed is that beneficiary to the
no,
people?
no, it's not.
Have
It's
it?
not all of
All
them,
right,
but
exactly. So other
some of them
countries have
are.
done the same. They have bases that have not beneficial. They are not on their benefit because most of the deals have not been benefit to them. So you have people that have come in and want to revise or change the deal. It happens in every Africa. That's why you see most businesses fail because they create business. They think it was going to be a business that's going to explode overnight, but out of a sudden, what they expect was not what they have. So now they say we change of the deal. Even it happened in Uganda where the Chinese, I think they did a whole lot of things in Uganda and their airport. I think they signed I think their airport was given to China. If Uganda wasn't, able to meet up with that deal, they were gonna take their airport. And it happened. It happened that they took the airport for some days because people came out, and the Uganda, I think they repaid half of the deal, and the Chinese left it. So it happens everywhere in African countries. We just do dumb deals that does not benefit
Yep,
also. So it's not about having a military base that is. It's a whole lot of issues if you ask me on the
I
African
agree.
continent, you know. But I mean, what is happening? My view about what is happening in Burkina Faso or this Niger things will not change. It's the same over and over. I'm not saying that
Yep,
they are doing good things, but my point is, they are doing it for the time being. But is that gonna elevate? Is that gonna turn that country into a first world? No, it's not. Let's be realistic because we Africans have not been able to solve things from the root. We have not been able to shake that what is the foundation. It's only the foundation that you can actually change things. You can demolish the house, but once the foundation is not demolished, anything that you build on top of that foundation is still gonna be shaky. And that is why the system have to change. Religious belief has to be taken out. A lot of things
yep,
have to come into play. The system that they still have that is running is based on the Napoleonic system of government in Burkina Faso. But they have to change that system to suit their tribal or the languages, the tribes that they have. All these things. So I mean, it is not just doing this, changing this, that is no. That's why Africa is not moving forward because the system that we built Africa on was not constructed by us. The foundation was not constructed by us. It was done by them. We took it from them. That's why you are claiming to have democracy, but is democracy working in No, it's not. But how come it's working in the other European countries? But because they built their foundation, they built what the house that they were gonna rule on it. But Africans, it's not the same. That's why
Yeah.
things are not working for us, man. When
Pedro,
I talk about Africa, I'm not
sorry to
talking.
cut you
Yeah,
short.
huh?
Jude, sorry to cut you short, Jude. Pedro, Pedro, can you please drop the link for the IQ test where the link where you check countries by
Oh
IQ?
yeah.
I want to check something.
Okay, one
What?
second.
Oh, these are Jamaican brother who is scared telling us he is Jamaican, but claim he is Congolese, and one morning he is Liberian. You know,
Uh,
you know,
how,
brother, go ahead,
how you
man. I
doing,
don't, you
guys?
know, yeah, go ahead. Nice coming in, man.
Yeah, that's uh, what's going on with Africa is terrible. Uh, for instance, in Nigeria, uh, there's like 8 million homeless children. It's like if I was a Nigerian, I would be scared to go back to live in Nigeria because I know that I've got a heart that's gonna turn me into a humanitarian. As soon as you go there, you know you're gonna be busy looking after children because uh, the society they're living in is lacking people that are humanitarians. There's a church there. There is huge mega churches, and the churches are not looking after the children, which is weird, very, very strange. And the people can't even put 1 plus 1 together. How can there's 8 million children on the street, but we're going to church and we're donating money every year? We're donating billions, but for some reason, the church is not looking after the children. So where is this money going to? And they don't stop and think. It's 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 not weird. It's a disease. It's basically an illness because uh, if you go to Africa, I swear, back back in the days, let's say in the 14th century, Africans used to make their own houses from local materials. They used to make their own houses from uh, adobe bricks, red clay. They used to make glass. They used to have their own industries. Uh, they had trades network, but now they've basically thrown away the, their own self-sustaining, self-sustaining, developed uh, trades, hierarchies, and knowledge. They've thrown all of that away, and they've embraced a European model, a European model. But the European model cannot work for Africans. It cannot work for Africans because uh, the European model worked because the Europeans revolted at one time or another to like depose the kings and and create an election process or a government. So we didn't do all of that. Everything was thrown on us. Everything was imposed on us. So we don't know how to work within that system, and that system does not work for us. So of course there's going to be, let's say, a intellectual brain drain because we are speaking foreign languages. We are developing in foreign languages. We're speaking French, English, etc. And all all the books and resources in are in their languages. So if we need to get the resources, we basically have to tap into their intellectual properties. So everything is based around taking from Europe or giving to Europe. So Africa will not function as long as that model or that worldview is still around in the people's heads because it will not work. Sorry, but yeah, you guys were saying,
Are you done talking, brother?
yeah,
No, you done talking. There's no, there's no African that doesn't speak their African language. I don't know about you. I'm sure you don't speak no African language, but there's no African person on this panel or on Africans that I've come across
Wait, uh, uh,
that do not speak their African
uh,
language. So, despite the
Judy,
fact that we still have a language that we study in, we still have our African language. And you that is speaking, if they ask you that go learn an African language, I don't think you even want to learn an African language. Because I've never seen a Pan African guy who is they preach most of this Pan African talk, but they have never done the walking. They don't learn no
I
African
speak two.
language.
I speak
Um,
two. I speak
oh,
two.
you speak. Oh, you speak. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's good. Mm, that's nice. Yeah, at least. But there's, I mean, like I said, I'm the one of those guys that believe that colonization had a good side of it, and there's also a bad side of it. So, and I believe that language is one of the good thing that happened for colonization because in my own country where we have 274 over 275 languages, uh, you know, getting people to choose a language that could actually people be speaking is not going to be possible. So colonization came in and you have English that at least people are actually versed with, and then there's an African language. What I wanted to do is or tell people is to make this language simultaneously. So when you are also learning the English in school, you are also learning yeah, language is also you know they are also learning that language, and also create institutions that people could actually prepare to like institutions like I think Kenya is doing, where you go to most Kenyan medias, televisions, they speak that language. That's also what should be happening, and countries should also at least come up with well, I think one university or something like that start working on it. But like I said, most Africans, they do speak their language. So UFC, you wanted to say something? Yeah, UFC. uh,
hold on. The guy said he went to Nigeria and he saw 8 million kicks. Where did you see 8 million kicks in
no, I
Nigeria?
don't. I don't think he has ever been to Nigeria. He say if you go to
Or did you?
Nigeria, I don't think he, yeah.
Oh,
I
are you
I
saying
don't think
that
the guy has ever been. Yeah,
because
I
of
don't think he has ever
are
been
you
on the
saying about
continent. He
Google,
has never been to
Google it.
Africa, brother.
Google it.
Yeah, yeah, he believes on Google, but he has never been. Brother, have you visited any African country?
Yeah,
Which country?
Congo.
Do you want to live in Congo? Why did you move back to America?
Uh, I'm slowly settling back in the Congo, but not in the city. Not in the city. In the city, the people are actually dumb. In the village, the people
What you said
or
in
in the
your
rural
conversation earlier, you said you were
or
in
in the
Nigeria. When did you visit in
in the
Nigeria?
rural areas, the people are a bit more smarter. They actually know how to uh self sustain. They understand that if you don't have a job, you actually need to farm. If you if you don't have companies that want to hire you, you 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 don't turn into a hustler and you start doing what's that thing the Nigerians call 419 or whatever.
This.
Uh, you don't do that. You go out and you farm or you do something else. So the people in the rural area, all they need is resources. They need resource in the form of
So
knowledge because
are you originally from Congo?
yeah. So the people in the rural area, they need resources. The
So
people in the rural area,
what language do you speak?
I speak Lingala and a little bit of Kitetela.
So
But
if me and you go, so you are speak Lingala to you, you're gonna understand.
but yeah, I understand. But going
But
back to
can
the
you speak
topic,
it back?
bro.
'Cause I mean, can you speak it back?
No, I'm not here to do that, bro. I'm not here to do that.
No,
I'm
I'm
not gonna
asking you,
do
can
that.
you do it? Because I mean, mm,
No. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna play
why?
those
I
back
mean,
and
so you are
forth
not proud
games.
speaking your African.
I,
Wait, you are not proud
I,
speaking your African
I,
language.
I was talking. I was making a point.
I know, but I wanna. I mean, are you not proud speaking your African
I
language?
was making a point when you were speaking, making your point.
Yeah, but
I
you told
found
me
it
you speak two
interesting.
African languages.
I found it interesting. I wanted to listen, but so let me just land. Let me make my point as well, please.
No, but I wanted you. I wanted. I mean, if you are proud speaking African language, we can go ahead and do it for like 5 minutes.
Do
Then,
do 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 you want to speak? I'll mute.
I mean, me and you have to speak. So conversation.
I'm not doing a back and forth with you. I was
Oh
making a
wow.
point. I was making a point. I'm not gonna do a back and forth with you.
See, the fact is, I don't know why people come here and lie. Just want to be. I mean, yeah, we are black. Yeah, you can call yourself Africans, but lying to us that you are from Congo, lying to us that you speak two African language doesn't make you, intelligent enough. Because I mean, yeah, you could speak two. I speak more than two, but. I mean, if you speak it, you speak it. It's not like, oh, I don't speak it, I don't want to speak. Are you telling us that we speak a colonial language? Yeah, you are not proud of us want to speak an African language. So it's just,
That, that,
you know,
that's the second time I've been on the show and I've just been accused of being a liar.
yeah, of
I
course. I
don't know.
mean,
I don't know why.
brother,
If
you
you
are not
take those
truthful,
words
man. You are not truthful. I
if you
mean,
take
this guy on
if
the panel
if
is
you
the person
if you
that you are
take those
speaking to
words
is
lightly,
Kaizo. Kaizo on this
listen,
panel come in and speak Swahili to his people. UNC comes in and speak.
Judy,
I mean, he speaks his language. I don't mind speaking my
listen,
language
listen,
with other people as well. So
listen.
Judy,
Uh,
Judy, did you not notice that
I'm not gonna
this
do a back and
identity
forth with
crisis,
you. I'm never
this
gonna do that.
identity
I don't.
crisis is within
yeah,
the
but
diaspora
UNC, I don't
community?
know why people are scared not telling us where they are from. Or actually, I mean, if you say he was Jamaica,
I'm not gonna do a back
I
and
mean,
forth
we
with
had no
you.
problem with
There's no
Jamaica.
point.
My friends on Telegram are Jamaicans, but okay. From your accent, it seems like you don't speak English. Good. Do you speak French?
Uh, I'm not gonna let you interrogate me. Why am I gonna let you interrogate me?
No, because I want to speak French. I want to speak
Who are
French with
you?
you. Do you speak French?
Who are you? You're a Christian, bro. You're a Christian. You're a Christian. I'm not gonna take you seriously. Come on.
So I
So I'm
mean,
not gonna let you interrogate me
who told
like
you I was a
back and
Christian?
forth. Oh, come on, bro.
Who told you I was a?
Your name
Oh, so
is your name is Almighty Jude.
So Almighty means the person is Christian.
Yeah.
Wow. So what are you? Are you a Muslim?
No, I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a
So what are
Christian.
you? Oh, you are a
Uh,
Christian.
I'm 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 not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I'm African spiritualist.
So for my name Almighty Judah, so that's a Christian name.
Yeah, it's Almighty Judah. Yeah,
Is it Judah or Judah?
it says Judah.
Okay. I mean, I think you must be confused, man. You just go ahead and assume stuff, you know. Yeah, UFC, go ahead.
I'm doing
I'm
the same
sorry.
thing you're doing. I'm doing the
No,
same
no,
thing you're
no,
doing.
no,
I'm
no.
playing the same game
You
you're
are not
playing,
doing the
bro.
same.
I'm
You are
playing the
not doing
same
the
game
same
you're
thing.
playing.
You are
We
not
can
playing
play
the
the
same
same
game.
game. We can play the
Go
same
ahead,
game.
UFC.
Accusation. They call it accusation. You're a
I
Christian.
want to ask, why is identity crisis prevalent within the diaspora community?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
The
You know, so you know.
level of identity crisis is scary.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you
how can? Go ahead, UFC. Sorry.
if you want to be Hebrew Israelite, be one. If you want to be black, be black. Stick to one thing and just die with it. It is okay. Like me, I will be Nigeria till I die. I'm not going to change my position. Nothing's going to change. I'm also, I'm
UFC.
a
Since you know me, have I ever said I'm a Christian? Even on
no,
the
no,
chat when we're here.
no. You are I know you are a pagan. Like
I
you
mean, not the
practice.
pagan, but a traditionalist. Come on.
Sorry, traditionalist. Yes.
No, you belong in the tribe of Judah. Your name is Judah.
You know, and this guy just believed that Judah is from the Bible, forgetting that Bantu. That's why I'm asking him if he's Congolese, but forgetting that the Bantu religion was what the Bible was written on. But since he is so myopic to understand, he doesn't know about the Bantu religion as well. You know, I'm gonna let him swim in his own ignorance. You know, I hate coming on this panel, and you know, back in the days when I used to get all chaotic, but now, you know, I'm into learning. I'm into the learning. You know, it's
Oh my
fair. You know, I
God!
want to learn from people. You know,
Why do you guys do that?
no,
Hebrew
we do that
Israelites.
because when people come here,
Hebrew Israelites.
they are not open
Hebrew
to us.
Israelites. Hebrew Israelites. You're a Hebrew Israelite.
I'm
Hebrew
not a Hebrew
Israelites
Israelite. What the hell are you talking
always
about? I'm
try
not
to
a Hebrew
connect.
Israelite. I'm Bantu.
Oh,
Why am I gonna be a
oh, oh,
Hebrew?
oh. The Bantu have nothing to do with the Bible. The Congo has nothing to do with the Bible. Africa has nothing to do with the Bible. The
Oh wow.
Bible is foreign to Africa. The Bible, Islam is foreign to Africa. That is nothing to do with the Bible. We never had anything to do with
When you say we, I'm confused because you are not we. When you talk of
Africans.
we have nothing
Africans.
to do with the Bible. The Bantu, if you go
Africans.
and if you follow, no, Africans. Look, you can be African, but maybe you are white. We don't even know you. We don't even know your national. I mean, African is not a nationality. African is just a global name that includes white Arabs, that include white South Africans. So we don't even know if you are African or not. You know, you're Jamaican or I mean, yeah. If you want to be part of Africa,
Let
and
me
then
ask you a question. What's the singular for Bantu? Bantu is a
the singular.
plural. So yeah, what's
What
the
do you mean
singular?
singular for Bantu? I'm confused. But Bantu is already
But
singular.
but but no, Bantu means is plural. It means many.
No,
Bantu.
plural for Bantu is Bantu
Bantu.
like.
No,
Or the
plural
Bantus,
for
that's
Bantu.
plural. My guy,
Bantu means people. Bantu means
Judy, you
people.
are wasting your time with these
Bantu
people.
means people. So what's the singular? You don't know the singular. What is the singular for Bantu? If you say you're Bantu, you should know.
singular is
I know
Bantu.
the singular for Bantu.
Plural, are
No,
you gonna let me talk? Oh, come on. Singular is Bantu. Bantus are plural. Or you can call them Bantu like. Come on, man. Who is this guy, man? I'm telling you, when you talk of Bantu, you don't even know what Bantu is. You say the people. Bantu, let me tell you, Bantu is made of two words, the ba and the two. The Ba stands for the people, and the Tu stands for the language they spoke. So the Bantu, the people that spoke the two language. And if you go to any tribe that is a Bantu, you have, like in my country, where you have the Bantu tribes, you have the Bangwa, the Ba, which are the people, the Nwe, which is the language, so the Bangwa. You have the Bangis, the Bakosis, and all of this stuff. You have the Bakongo, the Ba, which is the people, the Congo, which is the language. If you go to any Bantu tribes or land, you have that similarities. So when you say, see, man, you don't know nothing about the Bantus. You are not a Bantu guy. You are not a Congolese. You just claim to want to be part of the, the African sphere and stuff like that. I mean, we're not chasing out people like that, but you have to be open to us. Don't lie. Because you don't speak Lingala. I'm trying to speak Lingala to you. You say you don't want to speak it. You don't want to do conversation. That's why when we start having people that are lying to people, then we want to talk down on you. But if you come to us and you open to us, you have a Nigerian guy on this panel, UFC, you have me, Cameroonian, you have Kenyan, Kaizo. Everybody that comes on this panel, we know where they're from, we know who they talk on, we know what they do, and stuff like that. But when you want to come and start acting crazy or weird to us, and then we now want to go crazy on you as well, that's where the problem is. Yeah,
Yeah.
UFC.
So the the
You
the, the
see,
word Bantu, the
something
word
need
Bantu.
to be done. See, if you, I don't know, let me say this: if you have kids in the diaspora and your root is in Africa, it is better to take these kids to Africa. Let them know their roots. It's very, very important because some of these people that comes online here, it's tiring. Today they are this, tomorrow they are like chameleons. They change. Yes, and like
Nah, nah.
they can easily be swayed by anybody. If
So
you
so
just
so
say
he
what,
said he's traditionalist, right? If we want to go now into African traditionalists and talk one or two things, he will say no. Let's not talk about it. You see how they
yeah.
divert
Go
the
Okay,
push
ahead.
at any moment.
let me
Go
ask
ahead,
him.
bro.
Let me ask him.
Go
Let me
ahead.
ask him.
We
Do you
we
know
were
what
talking
the
about it before. We
okay? Let
were
me ask
talking about
you.
it before. We're
Do
talking
you know
about
the me? Do
what
you
the
know
word
what?
Bantu means.
Let me ask you. Since you are into traditional religion, do you know what is Eziza? Okay. Do you know what
Is that
the Ogun or Shango
is
or Romila?
I
You know these things?
I
No.
know who Shango is. I know who Obatola is. I know Omila is. Come on, Yemen, yeah. Who else? Come on, that's that.
You know Olokun.
Anyway,
I've been here of Olokun.
that's
Oh,
that's
okay. Doesn't know that.
that's. So, are you a Christian, brother? Nigerian first. Are you a Christian?
That has nothing to do. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So,
No,
so
you don't need to ask me. If you are asking me, maybe hold on. If I'm a Christian,
exactly.
I'm already
You
hold
heard
on.
that, Judah? You heard
Hold
that,
on.
Judah? You heard that? I asked
See,
him.
this is
He has the
listen
right.
to
He has
me.
the
Listen
right
to
to
me.
say. He has the right to
I'm
say.
asking. Oh, no, 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 no.
He has
It
the right
doesn't
to
mean
say, "I don't
it's
want
not
to
good. Hold
answer,"
on.
and
See,
I'll respect his answer.
see,
So,
I think okay, you were not in the group earlier. I'm a traditional worshiper, okay, and it's not bad for people to worship to be a traditionalist, except when you evolve in the dark side of it. I'm not part of that. I don't
UFC,
practice.
do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what Corey shows up?
UFC. We were in
Do
that
you know what
forum
Corey
and we,
shows
we
up?
were talking about building a temple, right? So
Yeah.
why if we are Christians, why do we want to talk about all these, building temple and all these things and for Africans as a whole?
Leave this guy. Uh, they think they want to ask you. They want to do agatia.
Do
Ask
you
if
know
you
what
are
Corey
extra.
shows up?
If you
Do
pay
you know
attention,
what
you
Corey
actually
shows
follow
up?
our group. You know that just that we
Do
don't
you know
like to
what
put
Corey?
down there.
Do
These are
do
I
you guys
believe
know what?
religious. I believe religious personal.
The guy is from Congo, as he claimed. But he doesn't know
It's
about
not.
Bantu.
It's not.
He
It's
doesn't
not.
know about. Yeah, he's not, man. That's one thing
I was
that.
about to explain to you why I asked you
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead
what
and
is the
explain. Go ahead and explain.
what is the singular for Bantu, because
Okay, I don't know the
from the
singular. Go
Congo,
ahead and explain. Go ahead and
from
explain, sir.
from 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 the Congo perspective, the word Bantu is means people. So the word muntu muntu means person. So it has derivative. You can drop the n and say mutu, just say mutu.
Okay, I
You
want to
can
ask you
drop
one question. Do you
the
know? Do
n
you know where the
with
Bantu?
the
Do you know where the Bantus
Bantu,
originated from?
the
Do you know where
the
the Bantus
Bantu
originated from?
the Bantus originated from East Africa.
Oh, from East Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very specific.
Uh, uh, let's say because the Bantus founded, let's say, Egypt, right? The Bantus came from the Western
UFC, I'm done with
desert.
this guy, man. Go ahead and keep talking, UFC. I'm done with this guy.
These are
So,
not jobs.
so
See. The problem I have with these guys, did you know why some of them are claiming Congo? Because if you look at this uh, most of this platform, we discuss issue about Congo, how Congo have a lot of minerals and all those things. So some of these guys they like to attach themselves to things that doesn't concern them.
Exactly. Exactly. You know,
what does the word mutu mean?
So they just assume now they are Congolese. Tomorrow they will be Ghanaian.
What does the word
Tomorrow
mutu
Gambia.
mean?
tomorrow there will be Liberia.
Yes, it's crazy.
What,
Omo, you know the way
Confusion.
where I be.
Yes, I know them. These are confused people.
Oh man. LCK. So
ah,
what's up, man?
let's
So
let's
what's your view about
let's
the
let's
African
let,
issue?
let, let, let's let's go back. Let's go back to the topic of the show, innit?
Yeah. Let's go back, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I was saying before, Africans uh, around the rural areas, they farm. Uh, they know how to make their own tools. They know how to source iron. They know how to source uh, different type of materials around their environment. But the Africans in the cities, they are basically trying to live like Europeans. They are trying to uh, go into the city, get an education, and then get a job. But that doesn't work because there are not many companies in 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 Africa or in the countries that they're in. There are not many companies setting up shop to provide those jobs. So when they finish the degrees are not worth that much really because there are not that many jobs. So uh, the 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 int- the intellects in the city need to try and basically uh, work with the people who are in the rural villages. They need to uh, go to the city and and educate themselves. Let's say learn architecture or farming or fishing or animal husbandry, etc. To basically go back to the rural villages and bolster that economy. That's gonna be one way uh, Africa will develop from from their own intellectual property, basically uh, not going to the city to go and learn business management or fashion or useless things. But at the same time, it means that the government will have to uh, intervene because everybody has the option to choose what to study uh, instead of uh, creating more farmers or more chemists and 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 sustaining the 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 progress of the country from 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 the ground level. So I think that would be a correct model, but the government needs to implement it because uh, if
Okay.
everybody has a choice to do whatever they want in universities, they'll just be wasting time, and also uh, the the like in Nigeria, uh, the BBC did this documentary about how teachers were using students, uh, basically charging them, making them pay them via sex to to pass pass exams and stuff like that. So the government hasn't intervened till today. So it's crazy.
Okay, shout out. We got a new panelist. Shout out to Flow State. What's your thoughts on the conversation so far? Do you think that Africa is backwards because our IQ on a scale, on average, is lower than the superior white man? Go ahead. The mic is yours.
I haven't really heard the conversation. I just dropped in, said what's up, and saw the link there. So I'm not caught up onto it. I am low key amused that you're still beating the same drum as the last time I was up here.
Have the highest IQ. The poorest countries have the lowest.
Which would make sense if you consider it from a nutrition standpoint, right? If you consider IQ development in adult life as a function of nutrition, then that makes perfect sense to me.
Okay. So Africans are malnourished. Good point.
So if you include, let's say, a African species that is not common in European, in the European world, in the IQ test, Europeans would fail it. Like say, would fail that specific part, because it's unknown to them. So what I'm trying to say is that the IQ model, I don't know what it's set up on when people are being tested, but I don't think it's being set up on let's say African worldview, or African point of view, or let's say Chinese worldview. I think it's being set up on
the Chinese
a
do the
European
best.
worldview.
Yeah. Asians have the highest, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so what IQ test do they take? Is the IQ test that does everybody take the same standardized IQ test?
Yes. They're called Raven's matrices. They're based on pattern recognition to remove culture bias. This is an example of a Raven's matrices. As you see, there's different pattern. Okay, there's a hole missing there, and there's our 8 different answers. Your ability is to figure out the right pattern that fits into this hole. Now, I can figure this out in less than a second, but I can go through the logic. As you can see here, you can either go from left to right. There's a pattern, up, down pattern. You can already see that this one has, it has this long vertical thing. One is shaded there, and the other half shaded. The other one is clear. Same pattern across here, but it's horizontal. This log here. So the next one is simple. It has to be shaped this angle, and the next thing is just figure out the pattern of this shape. Is it going to be some kind of square, right? So the answer is 5. There's a couple other patterns, but that's how you do it. You see, this is not based on Africa or Europe or China. This is just basic pattern recognition, which human mind is capable of doing. So this is what modern IQ taste law tests are based off to remove the culture bias. Now you could say African cultures don't have these discrete patterns, right? Africans are out there shaping their stones oval or something. Perhaps they don't have discrete shapes, and I would agree with you, right? But that also goes to the point that they are low IQ because they don't create discrete items that they can build off of. So that's also a lack of cultural IQ aspect. They just don't create anything. They don't have anything foundation wise to build from. I mean, this is why there's a difference between a foundation that can build a building, like a house, and one that can build a skyscraper. Africans don't, you could argue that culturally speaking, Africans don't even have these concepts of these shapes and patterns. However, the tests done on Africans are done on university students, and they still score lower than white students in South Africa. Average black South African is scoring 70 IQ. At university, they're scoring around 85 in university, when the average European is scoring 115 on a university. So Africans literally score lower than everybody else on these tests, apart from South Asians. Indians, they do bad. Nepal, makes sense. They're also kind of low IQ, right? India is a poor country.
Well, and we could say that it's safe to assume that the East Asians who are taking the IQ test are going to be in the higher performing tier, right?
Yes.
You don't have somebody who's floating around in a rice paddy. You're not going to have them take an IQ test. It's going to be your college students.
Correct. That's a good point. So that's why I mentioned the fact that in South Africa, that's one of the few countries where you can actually take the IQ test seriously. The other African countries you can. I mean, Somalia. I mean, these niggas don't even have a road. So how are you gonna make them sit down and take an IQ? But in South Africa, the blacks, I believe, they score 85, which is not bad. Sorry, no. I'm lying. The blacks score 100 IQ test in a South African university. For math and science, they're scoring about 105, and the whites are scoring around 110 to 115. So there's still that gap, right, between the smartest blacks of our, on average 100 in South Africa and the smartest whites around 112. So there's still a gap between the races, even in South Africa.
Okay. So
So what that means is, we don't. Okay, you see the way I was able to resolve this pattern. That means I can extrapolate ideas. It doesn't mean that, but it infers that I can extrapolate ideas and create solutions at a larger scale. Now, the African can't solve any problem at any scale, whether the abstract, whether they're real, whether the literal. The African is just doing things. It's like throwing spaghetti on the wall. Some of it's going to stick, right? Meanwhile, a high IQ person will just put glue on the spaghetti and put it on the wall, right? That's the difference. The African will just throw things. Sometimes it works, most times it doesn't, and that's why you can see our development.
I kinda don't understand that though, because in the UK, the 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 group that scores the highest in the GCSE tests are Africans, and that's been going on for the past 15 years. It's African and predominantly West Africans, Nigerians and Ghanaians. They score the highest uh, in the GCSEs, and that's been going on for the
So
for,
this is
for the past
this
15 years in the
this
UK.
is correct. Yeah, this is correct, and there's reasons why UK blacks score okay in so-called GCSE, the Certificate of General Secondary Education. It's because these are select group of people. These are the smartest blacks. Like Nigerians did not go to UK because of them being like Somalis or Congolese people who are, running away from something. right? The Somalis will score lower on these tests because guess what? They came from a war-torn country, they don't speak English. So there is a lot of culture bias. But Nigerians, these are the smartest Nigerians whose parents were motivated enough to give them a better life. So these are already select elite Nigerians. That's why you're getting, much better GCSE scores. However, when they reach university, it normalizes. Blacks still have the lowest uh, university qualifications at the highest level. Yeah, they have a lot of degrees, but they don't score the highest. The highest is still Indians, whites, and so-called Chinese, right? Blacks are like the Bengalis, right? They're scoring at the bottom. I can share the data if you want. We still fail at the highest level. Yeah, we have more degrees than them, but our degrees are not
I
worth.
would like to see the data.
Okay, I'll post it right now. Yeah, our degrees are not based, valued. We have the least first class degrees. Now I know first classification of degree is pointless. It doesn't mean anything. But I'm just using. Let me show you the data. Yeah. So how are you going to defend the blacks flow state in this one?
Uh, I'm
But
gonna defend the blacks by saying that if if you check out the Rhine papyrus, and I think it's got the oldest algebraic formula in the world, and that's in Africa. I think it's about 4,000 years old. It's the first form of mathematics known on Earth, and also the Ishango bone, which is in Congo. That's the the first world calculator in the world. So blacks or the blacks have have been progressive for a long time, and I think we've been stunted
Okay.
because we're experiencing a language barrier. That's one.
Okay.
Two is a exposure to information. I was asking Nigeria first at the time how many libraries are around his area, and he said he only has one library in the whole state. In the whole state, there's one library, and in London, there's a library in every corner, literally a library in every corner. So we're experiencing a a disinformation campaign. So there's not a lot of books that are being printed in in Africa. That's one of the worst things that can happen to a nation. You can't print out your own information. So that's
uh,
definitely gonna send you back.
let me,
And the other
Kaiser,
one
can
is
I ask you?
Christianity. Christianity.
Yeah, but Kaiser, I want to ask you a question. Is the IQ based on a Western education, or is it based on uh, uh, on natural basics? Because it's like playing a sport game. You take it to the country where they are hosting it. They're gonna have a home advantage or a home court.
Okay.
Is it based on African qualities of IQ, or African languages, or African, or is based on a Western mindset? Because you cannot, like I say, you cannot expect an African who grew up in Africa, following his own train of thought, to go and score more in a Japanese language or in a Korean language where they have no master of it, right? So
Right.
so these are things that you take into basics. Now when it comes to judging IQ, there are a lot of things that come with it. Environment, the climate, the food people eat can also increase people IQ, a lot of things. So um if I want to say why did the IQ drop, I think based on the environment and all of these things. But should we was the IQ really, was it for the benefit of Africans, or it was for the benefit of the white people, or what was it based on? That could have been. I mean, if it was based on mathematics or on English language, where Africans are not a master of it, and then I think it's a failed or a bias form of IQ that was brought upon, because if I take an African judgment, say, oh, okay, let's do African language, and none of these guys could score more than 80% of that African language, and then Africans were scoring more. I'm not gonna say Africans have a higher IQ than the people that did not score less. They are not from Africa. They don't speak that language, so in another form, that could be a biased form of IQ. So that's just a little sum that I had.
Okay, so let me deconstruct that. Then we'll let Flow State mention something here. So originally, the IQ tests that existed were the ones you've explained. There were people complained and said that they had cultural bias. You're giving someone an English test, but they're Black
Exactly.
American. They speak Ebonics, a different language. Perhaps you give them a math test. However, they haven't actually even gotten to the reading grade to be able to answer that math test correctly. You're right. However, because of how amazing and smart Dwight Man is, he created a new test and he called it the Ravens matrices. This one removes any cultural bias. It's the one I've showed in the screen earlier, whereby you're now comparing just shapes and patterns. Now, if you're going to tell me
Oh,
Africans
okay.
can't understand what a triangle is, and that a triangle is an invention of Dwight Man, then look, we literally have no hope.
But no, it's not. It's not having no hope. I mean, a triangle. If the triangle was done in an African language, that could actually be a hope. But if a triangle is done
There's no
in a
language.
European language,
There's no
you
language.
know,
There's no language. Jude, look, there's no language. It's just a
yeah, I
shape.
mean, it's based on image, right? It's based on
Yeah,
image. But there are certain
No,
images that we have that is
African
pronounced
images.
different.
shapes is
Jude,
mathematics. Shapes is
Images and
mathematics. And
shapes,
what you call it?
is mathematics. But what I'm saying is the
Mathematics.
Jude,
So
hang on.
right.
Jude, you're not wrong, but listen, Jude, are you trying to say Africans can't do basic math of adding and taking away? This is not
No,
complex math.
no,
Adding.
what I'm saying is the literacy level. They
no, I'm
they
not talking.
get taught
No. The IQ
what
did,
let
the
me finish,
IQ
please,
grade
bro.
was not taken to. It was
Let
not
me
taken to
finish,
a village.
please.
It was taken to a college. So yeah. I mean, if it was taken to a college, then you could expect that everyone on that class is at the same level. So I think if that was where the IQ was taken to, or the plan, I don't think African failing on that, because I think if
Yeah, so
everybody is in mathematics class, and then there's a
Jude,
shape that shows triangle, everybody should be able to identify triangle.
Jude, you are correct in a way, right? That's why all the tests, like in saying Cameroon has an IQ of like 60. I don't believe that, because they may have just made random dusty villagers take the test.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you. However, I'm referring to one test that was done in South Africa, where they made
Oh, okay.
university students take this test, and still the black students scored at least one standard deviation lower than the white
But
counterparts. So the
I
blacks
want to
were
ask you a
scoring.
question though. It was done at the university, right? And what course was it? Was it a mathematics course?
Well, see, remember they're comparing like to like, right? So there would be, it means they would compare math students to math students. They'll compare
Okay.
English to English students, white people. So
All right.
it's a so still the blacks didn't score bad. 100 is a decent IQ, right? But
Average.
the whites are scoring something like 112, 110, almost a standard deviation, right? So that basically means, and again, a university student is usually 15 points higher IQ than a normal person. So you see, the data kind of suggests that the average African is around 85 IQ.
Yeah, but when IQ are carry on, right? Like in America, they don't put the image, like they don't put people's information till when they're done with the IQ, and then now they come out with the statistics. Because a few days ago, I think few years ago, they were trying to see the IQ of mathematicians in America, and those who scored more were, I think, Chinese and South Koreans in
Yeah, they
America.
scored the
So
highest. Yes.
yeah, so yeah, it happens all over the place. It might be that people were traumatized at that period of
Okay,
time.
Jude, so one
People
question.
had difficulties at home. They did not meet up with the expectations and all of that. So these are a
So
lot of things that
why
also
exactly?
come.
Judah, you're right, but why is it that always Africans and blacks who have all these problems? How come nobody else has these problems? Right?
I'm done, man.
You know,
I'm in the midst of something. Go ahead, Kaiser.
right? No, you're always making excuses. But how come everybody else doesn't have these problems at home? They don't have problems. Why is it always the blacks and Africans? The
Because
last minute.
Africa always have, especially in America, right? Africa always have this problem at home. They have a problem issue with you cannot put a white person and a black guy on the same pedestal because a white person is comfortable at home, they eat healthy. A black person doesn't eat healthy. Most of the time they only have single parents at home. So the kind of trauma they face at home, when they take it to school, they don't do well at all. So that IQ test is, it goes a long way. So these are the various, yeah. So it's a whole big issue. So yeah, I'm gonna stop right there now. I have a lot
You,
of
you,
things to catch
you,
up
you,
with Kaiser. You know.
Okay,
Ukraine,
okay.
Ukraine is
Yeah,
doing, Ukraine is doing worse than any African country
oh, Judah ran
right
away.
now. You
Well, yeah, Ukraine, but you see, Ukraine's an outlier. How come we have to find one shithole white country, but every African country is a shithole? I mean, that's the point. Yeah, you're right. Ukraine is a shithole, but that's one shithole out of a lot of successful countries in Europe. So, Flo State, what's your thoughts? Do you agree with the Pan Africans, or do you think that Dwight Man just happens to have the way niggas have bigger dicks? Dwight Man just has a bigger dick.
So I don't think it's a cultural bias. I think that I also don't, and this is just my personal anecdotal belief. I don't believe that one race is smarter than any other. I've met stupid motherfuckers in every race and smart motherfuckers in every race. So when I see things like this, I tend to think that it's cultural and dietary. Um, and at least, and I've never been to Africa. Hell, the only place outside of the U.S. I've been is Costa Rica. But at least over here, I can clearly see in the U.S. that there's a cultural difference. Asians perform the best, right? They have a culture of being good students. That's very important in their culture. And then whites are in the middle, and I don't know where Hispanics are. I think a little bit below whites, and if you've got black Americans at the bottom.
So how come it
There's
just happens that there's a color difference? The darkies are right at the bottom, then the Hispanics a little bit less dark, and then of course the Asians are the lightest out of all of them. Go ahead.
But over here, I think it's mostly cultural. I think it's cultural over here because you can look at the cultural differences in how they approach school and this sort of thing. I think Asians work their balls off harder than anybody, and I think that you can, if you speak with proper grammar around Black Americans, you get degraded for it. So I think that that's directly a cultural phenomenon. I've never been to Africa, but I would suspect that there's both cultural and especially probably dietary. If you're raised your whole life not eating like protein and shit, it's going to affect your mental development.
Yeah, that's a good point. Africans don't have food. That's a good point.
I mean, I don't know if that's a good point because I've never been to Africa. I just know the shit that I see on National Geographic.
We don't have food in Africa, honestly. Like meat is a rare commodity and it's expensive, so most people eat it sparingly. So here people just eat starch like fufu and all these starchy stuff, which gives you energy but doesn't do much for your brain development.
100%.
We also like iodine in the diet, which helps with brain development. Okay, so that's a good point.
That's exactly my point. Is I think that those are the main differences. I don't think that there's actually a genetic or an innate difference in intelligence capacity between races. I think that you're smart, obviously. You're also salty at Africans because you got stuck in Africa.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
all right, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to leave you. So good night.
Okay. See you later. So you see, when the conversation became more high IQ, all the Africans left. So literally proving my point, right? They can't even handle a baseline 2D conversations. They had to run away. Flow state. I mean that's how the Africans are. It is what it is. But for me, I also think this, right? I think pieces of shit always deserve what they get. What I mean by that is, if you're going to be low IQ in this world, the world's going to treat you the way that it treats you. I mean, Africans will claim, oh, the white man is controlling the economics. The white man is doing all these things, fine, but why are you letting him do it? Clearly, he's better than you, right? At some point, you have to make that argument and be like, okay, someone just happens to play the game better, and this game is a shared game. Because the brother tried to bring up, okay, what about the Africans valuing a different type of intelligence? If you put a white man, assuming just an average white man in America, into a Congolese jungle, he's not going to survive there as well as the pygmies. That's true. However, we don't live in a pygmy world in the forest. We live in a complex system. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the system that we exist and live in, the systems of commerce, export, import for countries, it just happens that some races are more suited for whatever reasons you've given some than others. Do you agree with that statement?
I disagree with that statement.
Okay.
I think it's circumstantial that some are doing better than others. I don't think it's a hard more suited or less suited.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is circumstantial, but okay. So the point here is the white man created a game that he plays really well. It just happens that we value that game and we're playing into it, whether we like it or not. Would you disagree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, then I think we're in agreement there, right? So this crazy idea, because even if you look at general intelligence, I'm just thinking the moment neural net, neural whatever stuff becomes a thing,
Oh, the
50 years from
the
now,
brain chip shit.
right? That's gonna help bridge so many gaps.
Oh my god, you're
Information.
not gonna get that shit, are you?
No, I won't, right? But I'm talking about the other people, right?
Talk about literal slavery. Letting someone put a chip in your brain and then
Yep, they can control your thoughts. Put
automatic updates. Automatic update.
yeah, it should be a sheep just being fed
Yeah.
everything that they want you to be fed, right?
It's obnoxious. It's annoying enough when my phone restarts on its own because I got forced to have a software upgrade. Could you imagine doing that to your brain? Like you wake up at a stoplight, like, oh fuck, I just reboot.
Oh shit! Like, okay, the deep state will be able to pretty much put anything into you. That's the thing, right? Like, any ideas, you literally would just be like a sheep at this point, right? Because they will. I mean, they will tell you, "Oh, we're not going to compromise your, I don't know, your autonomy and all that stuff," but they will, right? At some point, they will start selling the information to the highest bidder.
Um, Charlene Shaw is pushing back on my claim in the comments, and is being quite dishonest about it. I've heard a ton of fucking times. I've heard black people chastise other black people for talking white. Like you can
Oh,
tell me that it doesn't happen. I've seen it.
okay, so another Black American says it is definitely cultural values for Black Americans. However, just getting out of the chattel slavery and robbed of your cultural values and African culture, we have been conditioned for self destruction. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you guys really love to be destructive. That's a good point. I remember watching a documentary in Ghana where they made some fish paste for the school children who don't get much protein and give it to them with their lunch and their IQ improved. Yeah, I mean, 100% right. Like, diet is a big thing, right? And here's what happened in Africa, right? Prior to complete colonization, Africa had a small population. Kenya, for example, is only 1 million and a half people. So what that means is these cultures had, the certain economies that they existed. The Luos, it's a river lake Nilot group. They used to eat the fish. The pastoralist groups, the Maasais, the Rendiles, and the Samburus, they used to eat the animals like cattle, like cows and camel. So what happened is obviously with the population boom when the Europeans introduced starch with the kernel removed, right? Like heavy starches, the population increased significantly. However, we couldn't keep up with our traditional dietary stuff. We couldn't eat as much meat because now we're focused on a heavy starch diet so that we can populate. So I think that's what went wrong during that time between the population explosion, where we had a very small population eating very nutritious fish meat products, to a high population surviving on high starch. And I think that is literally where the African IQ could have improved if we had or meat. Flo, you are not Black American, so how can you tell me? Okay, life is an IQ test. Too many Black people suck at life. Why? Also, that you're missing an O at the two, so it just explain why.
Man, now you're just being a dick.
uh, I don't need to be a cat to know that they shit in boxes. I'm fully qualified to tell you what I know I'm seeing and how to be qualified. Kaiser says, Kaiser's using my magic on Flow. Say, I come through, man. Good to have an high IQ panel.
What sort of Ike magic are you using on me?
Being able to not be so TI focused, right? Like just going in circles. Being able to use a bit more NI and TE there, like to jump and move the conversation forward. Find some agreeable, sort of
Some
standing
FE.
points.
You're finding FE ground.
Yeah, exactly. Somewhere where we can actually, communicate in
You're-
an understandable.
That's
way.
good. You could, yeah. you used to be quite abrasive with it, and now you're still abrasive. I see, but you're getting more tactful about it.
Yeah, I mean, I still need to be a bit, controversial, but yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, exactly. I'm trying to ride it a bit better, like, uh,
It's a
that
good
kind
skill to have, especially when you're doing YouTube stuff.
Oh yeah, true. Because I mean, yeah, YouTube is an interesting business.
Yeah. One of my dad grew up in L.A., and one of his best friends growing up was Asian, of course, and real smart guy. But I remember hearing my dad talk but nobody could stand him because he was such a douche. And I remember being a kid and hearing my dad on the phone with his buddy going, "It doesn't matter how smart you are. If everybody hates you, nobody gives a fuck that you're brilliant."
Ooh, that's a really good point. It's a really great point. Yeah. At the end of the day, we live in systems, so no matter how singularly amazing one node is in a system, it's not gonna matter if the whole system is thinking it's a virus. Yeah, that's actually a great point. Which is why you need to use FE to kind of manipulate the idiots into the path that you want. Make them like you, not because you became like them, but you're emanating the energy that they think is safe for them to sort of get from you. So yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, everybody's probably read 48 Laws of Power at this point. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, my
The
girlfriend
first
read it.
law, don't outshine the master. People actually don't like people being much more intelligent than them. Like women like men, like to get with men who are more intelligent. But aside from that, people generally don't like that. They don't appreciate having that comparison in their own head. People
Yeah,
don't
because
remember what you said; they remember how you made them feel.
yeah, that's a really great point. But it makes sense. I mean, ego wise, we've sort of transformed. We've moved from a society of like sharp elbows, right? I like using this guy called Eric's analogies, right? A sharp elbow versus a sharp mind. All of our human history, we've been using mostly a sharp elbow, and a sharp mind is sort of done at the tactical part. Like, so what that means is we force ourselves, like SE, forcing your way into shit, which I believe is how Africans still do things. Like you're forcing your way into things, right? Africans remind me of like a really grapey, dirty old man, right? Like just forcing things, right? It's like,
Is that how you feel? Is that how you feel you've been treated in Africa?
Oh, 100%, 100%. But anyways, that's a good one. You caught me off guard there. But
Your whole talking point is about you getting back at Africans because you don't like cops.
right, exactly. So anyway,
I also don't like cops.
yeah, we should form an alliance, right? But yeah, so I think actually it makes sense why people don't like people who are so much smarter than them, because in the past, right, that basically meant that someone could kill you, right? We're only using reasoning because we've so-called been civilized. In the past, if you see threat, you try to neutralize that threat any way possible. So in this case, if you keep winning arguments against someone and you're in the same vicinity as them, it will become a threat to them, like a survival threat to their ego. So it makes perfect sense. You can't be just going out there thinking, and also in Africa, it's worse flow state than just you being abrasive and showing off. In Africa, other people will project what you're doing because they will do something similar if they had the same skills as you. So let me give you context here, right? Perhaps you're a bit richer than the average African, right? So you're a bit richer than the average African. Just the fact that you're buying things that your neighbor wish that they could, just because you're living the lifestyle that they wish they could. You could not speak to them. You might not even say anything mean. They'll project that you are doing it on purpose just so that you remind them of how much of a piece of shit that they are. Then they'll plan to kill you. That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. People project onto you, even if you didn't do anything against them. Right, that's a level of unconsciousness that you really are going to see in Africa, and I'm not even exaggerating here. There's so many cases of the spirit that I'm sort of emanating, which is why I don't recommend anyone coming to Africa.
This is a big spite party.
Right? Yeah, but it makes sense. I mean, would you come to Africa, Flo State?
I would visit Africa. Yeah, I would like to. I have to. There's a surprising number of countries that won't let me come into their country actually because of my felony. I don't know that I'd have that issue in Africa, but like, if I want to go to England, I have to land in Scotland.
Oh, right. How come Scotland lets you in?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I would have an issue getting into Canada.
Interesting. Even if you like, okay, interesting. Yeah, that's probably they have like some bilateral agreement with America for certain whatever accusations and crimes and stuff like that.
Well, they have customs restrictions on who they want in. Nobody wants in all the riffraff, and so that you and me are riffraff now.
Oh yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's a good point. But come to Africa. I think Africa will let you in. They don't really check things that much compared to.
I assumed they would. I would. Well, one of the bucket list things is I would definitely like to see the pyramids. Actually, that part of Africa, I think, is the last part that I'd want to go to right now. It's pretty hot up there, I think, from what I am aware. The Congos. I mean, do you remember the Michael Crichton book, The Congo, that got turned into a movie where the gorillas bash people?
Oh yeah.
I grew up with that sort of shit. So like the Congo always sounded awesome to me, even though like I know enough about myself to realize there's probably more bugs and shit there than I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much as I think I would. But yeah, man, so, Africa, like this is all like the nature shows and shit. All that shit is Africa and Australia.
Yeah, you're
some
right.
Southeast Asia. So there's definitely like at least like in my mind, in the American public mind, like the savannas with all like the fucking zebra herds and like all that shit sounds awesome. And where else are you gonna see that?
You know what? You're so right. Right. For example, like I live in Maasai land, one of the counties here, and these guys, there's hyenas, there's lions all over the place. You can literally wake up and see animals roaming around, so you gotta be careful, obviously, as well.
See, that sounds awesome and terrible all at once.
Yeah, but the good thing is the government not sterilized. They gave like some kind of spray or whatever to all the mosquitoes in Nairobi area, so you can't get malaria, which is good.
They sprayed everybody, so who knows what's in that spray? But you probably got brain tumors growing right now, but at least you don't have malaria.
Hey, look, Africans don't live long enough to get cancer, right? We die from other shit, so we're fine. That's the thing, right? It's like because I've had this conversation with Africans, right? They're talking about GMO and this, and I'm like, nigga, your life expectancy is so low that you'll be thankful to live long enough to get cancer. Right, so I always tell the Africans, just I don't know, embrace modernity, and then when the problem gets there, right, you can now join, Flow State and his people.
Join the white man. Smoke your health tubes. I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube. I don't know how.
All right, yeah. I mean, you said health tube. You didn't really say any
right.
specific.
Anyway, my bad. I'm trying to. I just got off a strike on my channel
Yeah,
because
what happened?
one of the douchebags on panel. It's a paint gun, but visually he just held up an AR-15, and and I've got a lot of people. Like, I've got a lot of enemies. I have so many hate watchers who watch my stream just waiting for that opportunity, and I gave it to them. And then I didn't end the stream when I knew I should have. I let it run for another hour.
Deleted it. Yeah, you should have ended it, deleted it right there. Yeah, I've had people pawn bomb us before on my platform, so I always just delete the stream. I take the L.
I bet you have. It sounds like there's a common thread here, and it's shitting on Africans.
Yeah. Okay. For example, Charlie says, right, I hate Kaizo Chan, right? She's a Black American. She probably doesn't like Africa. But then again, Charlie, you probably enjoy this channel because we do shit on Africans a lot. So as a superior Black American, you probably enjoy this channel, really. Right. And Jude here, he really shits on Africans, man. He did it even before. There was a time when I used to pretend I'm a Pan-African, or pretend. There was a time when I was less abrasive, right, about my affiliations with the Pan-Africanism. And I used to go to a panel with Jude. Jude was the one talking shit about Africa, and I was there defending Africa. Do you remember that, Jude? You were like the number one, you've been the same.
Yeah, of course, bro.
Yeah, that was on BG Noah's channel. Everybody used to love me at that time, man. They were like, "Yo, Kaiser's a young, intelligent brother who understands things." I literally, it killed me every time I had to, to have those conversations. Such a, I don't know, FE way, trying to be nice.
I live in a white country, man. I live in a white state, man. I don't have no problem with white people, bro. Africans have to update their skills, man, and move, And it's not all about this and that. I mean, you make yourself inferior, and then you're gonna be inferior all your life, man. That's what is happening in Africa, And sometimes they don't want to hear that, but yeah.
I sort of agree. I think that and I'm not trying to jab Kaiser too hard, but I think that the position that you put a lot of panelists in, where they're looking for reasons why they're inferior, reasons to justify it, is not. That's not. They need to just move on and do what they can.
Exactly.
Not even worry about that. Kaizo keeps pulling them back into the muck. Like, look, you're stupid.
An African guy will complain that he hasn't done this thing his whole life is because the white man has done this to him. The white man has done. I'm like, what the heck? You have your both hands, bro. The white man doesn't control you. You control. It means if the white man doesn't give you food, you will go hungry your whole life. Or what you talking about? So it's just, yeah, they have this perception, man. They don't want to move past that. It's always been the white man, and that's why I say if Africans, if they don't move past this in the 21st century, then they're just gonna be the same people, man. Blacks in America, Africans, it's all the same group. So yeah, man. I live in a white place. It's more secure. It's no.
Do you live in the U.S.?
Yeah, I live in the U.S., bro.
Right.
The crime rate here in my state that I live in is lesser than compared to where majority blacks live in. So, yeah, man. I wish black can learn a lesson and build a community instead of trying to go ahead and say they are being controlled by white or dominated by this and that. It just makes no sense. So, yeah, Kaiser, I'm with you, man. I mean, I know you with me as well. So,
yeah.
Charlie is the authority on all things Black American. She doesn't want anybody else to have any opinions on Black Americans. She's got it entirely locked down. I didn't see shit. Judah doesn't see shit. Only Charlie knows about Black Americans. But hey, I gotta go. I gotta make this phone call back, and I got a stream going on in a little bit. Love to have you stop by if you feel like wrapping up here or whatever. But anyways, thanks for having me on again. Katie says hi, and
say hi to
right
me.
on, and I'll talk to you again later.
Peace, Dwight, man. Yeah, you see, Jude, Dwight, man, is actually high IQ, man. Much better than that fake Congolese guy.
So he's fake, huh?
You think a Congolese doesn't speak Lingala?
Come on, man. I knew he was fake. At one point in time, he said he was Liberia. I caught him in his track. He said he was Congolese. I said, okay. I said most of these guys don't speak any African. He said he speak two African language. I said, okay, let's go from the languages. What languages do you speak? He said Lingala and one other language. I said, okay, I do speak Lingala. And let's flow in Lingala. He said, no, I don't want to speak it. I said, but you claiming Africans speak colonial languages. How come you not speaking a tribal language? Oh, this and that. Come on, man. But Kaizo, let me ask you a question. Why does these Caribbeans or most of these Caribbeans, when they come on the panel, why are they scared telling us they are Caribbeans or they are Jamaicans or this? And I know the guy is in London. I know he's from the Caribbean. But why? Why? Is there a problem? Is
Oh,
it
yeah,
because
that's a good.
Caribbean is more shithole than Africa?
I think it's usually the mentally ill ones who wish the Africans who do that, right? Because
Because even IC3 doesn't even talk about his Caribbean side. You
it
know,
doesn't even claim
he only
that.
talks of London and Africa.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean, look. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you have to do a show about these people, man. I've just kind of noticed what's actually going on.
Look. I think that's a fair, observation that you're making, Judy. I can't give you an exact answer, but one of the things I think is going on, Judy, is that some of these people are mentally ill, and they really want to connect with Africa so much, and they
Yeah,
know
but
that
there's nothing wrong connecting with Africa. I mean, we agree with that, but I mean, coming on the platform and saying you are this, you are this. I mean, you have to be transparent to tell us, okay, you are from here, but you feel like you belong here, and then that's how the conversation is gonna go. But don't tell us you speak African languages of which you don't speak none, you don't understand none. You speak Swahili on this panel most of the time, Kaizo. I mean, if I
right.
want to go ahead and sing Bangwa with somebody I'm gonna speak it because I know my language, you know.
Mhm.
But I mean, you're not gonna come here and say Africa have lose their language. Yeah, you don't speak any. You don't have no effort learning one of the languages, and then you assume you speak it, but you don't want to speak it in public. It just doesn't make sense.
Right. No, you're not wrong, Jude. You're not wrong. Look. I think some of these people need spiritual deliverance, and the only way they're going to do that, Jude, is if you beat them, right?
Eh,
Because they're not going to change, right? You have to beat them.
I
Yeah,
think,
even
yeah, go ahead.
IC3 needs to be beat, man.
I see to it doesn't. I see to it has a problem with it. I mean, he doesn't talk about Caribbean and Jamaica, only African. You know, the same with Icon Fire.
Oh yeah, that I can't find. Yeah, that guy's crazy though, but
Kaizo,
yeah, I
you
can't.
really actually have to. I don't know, man. Why are they? Yeah, we need to talk on that topic, man. Maybe on a Sunday or on a Saturday
Yeah,
or something. You
yeah, my
know.
usual time, right? Like, yeah, we can definitely have that conversation because yeah, it's a good point. JD says Caribbeans know that their countries still belong to the King of England, and they all sell out governments, and they expect more from Africans as a representative for All Blacks. Okay. Oh yeah, that's true. Like Jamaica is still ruled by the Queen. The Queen is the head of state.
Yeah, it's ruled by the Queen. They only have a prime minister who take order from the King of England.
Yeah, that's crazy. Uh, Black
And
Americans are the
and
only people. Mhm.
come to think of it, these guys are not united in the Caribbean, man. They preach about Africa, Africa. Africa is how many times bigger than Caribbeans? These Caribbeans, the whole Gambia is bigger than the whole Caribbean countries. The biggest country in the Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken, is is the Espanola Island, which is made of Dominican and Haiti. That's the biggest island. The most populated Caribbean country is Haiti. The most, and it's
uh,
probably like what 10 to 11 million, if I'm not mistaken. Come on, man. I sure, of course. I'm telling you, yeah. These
that's
guys are
crazy, man.
not united. A person from Bahamas doesn't like a person from Haiti. Jamaicans doesn't like Haitians at all. When you go on their side, what they beef on is only food and a food and which Caribbean countries, but that's it. They don't want to work together. They are not even talking about forming a one currency issue. None of that. It's just, and then they want to come here and preach to Africa as if Africa is like, come on, man. I mean, I talk down on Africa, but yeah. But if you want to talk down on Africa, you have to be transparent. Tell us, I mean, where you from. Let's know if, I mean, come on, man. Yeah, man. I think you have to talk on this Caribbean and see what is happening in Haiti. None of these Jamaican countries is calling out or is helping Haitians. You know, they just,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
no, that's 100%. Like I've not heard any Caribbeans really, talking seriously about Haiti. Even the way the CARICOM is set up, Haiti really is like an outlier in that area. I don't know, man. I think these people are even more cut than us in Africa. But perhaps that's what's holding us on.
I mean, you cannot be preaching unity in Africa when your household is not unite, man. Even like the African Americans that come here and say, "Oh, Africa does this." Africa is a whole group of people, but you that is coming from a minority in America, you have not been able to preach unity in your neighborhood. They want to force a whole 1 billion of something people to be unite. It makes no sense. You have to start where you from. You know, that's why I tell all this icon fire and stuff. Go to your neighborhood and start preaching about unity with Africans instead of coming on Africa and say Africa has to do. No. If things are good on the continent, we are not going to be the one to come and free you guys in the Caribbean. It has to be the people from those countries to fight for it. You're not going to bring an alien to come over and say, "Oh, no." It's not going to happen like that. You know,
True.
even I tell Black Americans, it's not going to be Africans to come and free Black Americans in America for them to have their own country. They have to start it first and clamor for their own country, man. Claim Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, and all these places, you know. And then maybe when Africa is done, then Africa can stand out and say, "Yeah, we identify these people," you know. Yeah, like what United States is like what United States is trying to do in China. They're trying to make Taiwan to divide away from China, saying they are not they are different people. You know, it's like people can say, "Yeah, Black Americans are different from America." So should they separate? Should they have their own country? So it's just that Black people are not so wise enough, man, and that's why I think that IQ is white. Blacks in general are dumb in general.
Right. But man, like you're using a strong word saying dumb, but
Oh yeah, of course, Kaiser. We have not. I mean, come on, man. In America that I live in, we preach about all of this, all of that. Bro, look, you have companies in America. They call is it level 500 companies? Companies that are top notch. Rank in the world. Say if you put the first 100 companies that are ranked in the world in America, not in the world, but in America, 100 companies, a Black company wouldn't come in between.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the first 100 companies in America, you wouldn't find no Black company. I mean, you can go and Google it. I'm not just saying. Maybe if you find a Black company, maybe the boss at the top is a white man. Blacks don't know how to run shit. I'm telling you for a fact. The people that come close to running stuff in America are the Mexicans. You go like in most places, you have Mexican stores. Like in my state here, there's a supermarket called Rancho.
Oh wow.
It's dumb. Is These are Mexican supermarket. It's big, Rancho. You can Google it. Okay. But go to states that are dominated by Black people. Do they have this supermarket? They don't have it. Or you go in a state, okay, in my state where you have a lot of Mexicans, you see their supermarket, Rancho, very big. They have so and so, eating spot, restaurants. But you go to states that are dominated by Blacks, you don't see stuff like that. You don't see supermarket that are extremely big, clean. No.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I've just checked the S&P 500. Not only are there no Black-owned companies really there, right? Like, not really, at least. Apparently, only six of them even have like Black people at any level of management, and leadership. That's crazy. Only 6 out of the 500 even employ black people at a responsibility level that will affect the company. That is definitely insane. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Those numbers are definitely looking a little bit bleak, and definitely a little bit gruesome, to be honest. Damn.
What
Yeah, that's
happened,
crazy.
man?
I think you lost connection for a second, man. But basically, the bad news is only 8 Fortune 500 companies have black CEO, and that doesn't mean they own the company. That's just workers, employees.
Yeah,
Only
that's
eight
just
out of
workers,
500
man.
companies want to risk having a black as a leader. That's crazy.
14. Yep. So, man, I look, man.
Man,
I think. I'm telling you facts, man. I live here, bro. When people come here and they run their mouth, man, it's just crazy. That the people that even come close to this level of Fortune 500 companies are Mexicans, bro. You know, you go into
right.
states that are dominated by by blacks. Those who run the restaurants are Chinese. The nail shops are run by Chinese and Indians. A lot of things, blacks don't run anything in their own state that are being dominated by. They don't run anything, man. You know,
Man, that's crazy.
you go to states that
Do
are
you
dominated by Mexicans. You see, they have their restaurants, you have their supermarket, huge, and all of these things. But it's not the same. So, yeah, we have a problem, man.
But like I don't know, how do I say this right? Ever since I came to Africa, and I've lived around Africans, like there's just a lot of problems I can see that are redundant. Like, why do we have open source, Jude? Like, give me a
Oh
good
man,
reason why we have open source. There's none.
yeah, that that's a big
People are
problem, man.
like a food business, right? Making like hot dogs on top of an open sewer, and the rat is there, and people are eating. Like, there's some things which
Kaiser,
we have to stop doing. We have a
Kaiser.
shithole for a toilet instead of having a sitting porcelain toilet. Why? Right? Like,
Um, this is because you have been overseas, right? I'm not gonna make excuses, but this is because you have traveled. And when we have traveled, we want to bring the good things in Africa. Those who have not traveled, they believe that that is the good system because they have not traveled. That's why when you compare two things, then you can come up with which one is better and which one is not. This open sewage stuff, I don't know. The thing about Africa